The main amphitheatre on INSEAD's Asia campus in Singapore was packed for the star attraction. Lalu Prasad, India's Minister of Railways, who's engineered a dramatic turnaround in the fortunes of Indian Railways, taking it from the verge of bankruptcy to revenues of $6 billion last year. Indian Railways is the world's biggest employer and one of the largest and busiest rail networks in the world, carrying some 17 million people and more than 1 million tons of freight daily. It was, however, until recently, a loss-making organisation. The minister, referred to as Professor Lalu by the Indian media when they reported on the prospect of his talk at INSEAD, outlined his strategy for the rail network. Starting his term in 2004 with a budget of $200 million with which to save Indian Railways, Prasad ignored prescriptions to privatise the organisation, retrench staff and increase passenger and freight fares by 20% in every budget. He chose instead to keep on board 1.4 million employees, reduce fares by up to 45% and, while refusing to privatise the core business of Indian Railways, started public-private partnerships in some peripheral areas.
इससे हमारा भारतीय रेल का टर्न अराउंड और कंधा से कंधा मिला के काम करने से आज भारतीय रेल का और उस मिथ का जो हमारे बच्चों को पढ़ाया जाता है कि whenever any government organization and corporate house aided by the government घाटा में जाते इसको प्राइवेट फुली प्राइवेट में दे दो, मैन पावर को छटनी कर दो। नहीं, मेरा मानना ये नहीं है। मेरा मानना है कि ईमानदारी विजन के साथ और कमिटमेंट टू दी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन एंड विजन हमारी जो होनी चाहिए, कोई कारण नहीं है कि कोई भी इंस्टीट्यूट या कोई भी कॉर्पोरेट हाउस कोई घाटा में जाए। इसको हम लोगों ने तोड़ा है, हमारी कोशिश है। ये विदाउट डिस्टर्बिंग एनीवन, बिना जिसको हम देहात में बोलते हैं बिना हरे न लगे फिटकिरी और माल चोखा मैंने ना हमको हरे लगाना पड़ा ना मिर्च लगाना पड़ा और भरता होता ना पोटैटो।
While output increased threefold, real operating costs have fallen over the past 25 years, resulting in a strategy based on volume. By increasing the capacity of a typical long-distance train to 2,000 passengers from 800, unit costs were nearly halved.
तो जो लोकल इंडस्ट्री है उनके कैटेगरी में उनके भाड़ा में हमने काफी 5% पहले से कम किया था और उनको हम राहत दे रहे हैं और सारी सुविधा दे रहे हैं। और भारतीय रेल में भारत का कायाकल्प तब तक नहीं हो सकता जब तक फार्मर्स का जो इंडियन फार्मर्स है, हमारी इकोनॉमी क्या है भारत का, कृषि है। कृषि हमारा बेस है, बुनियाद है। 7,500 रेलवे स्टेशन में हम कृषि आउटलेट खोलने जा रहे हैं, ज्वाइंट वेंचर। कृषि प्रोड्यूस करने वाले जो किसान हैं उनको दूसरे कहीं मार्केट की तलाश नहीं करनी होगी। वहाँ पर हम जॉइंट वेंचर में कोल्ड स्टोरेज और सेंटर परचेज सेंटर हम खोलेंगे। पोटैटो, ऑनियन, बहुत सारी चीज़ों की जब जरूरत है तो हम किसान को उचित दाम दे करके हम किसानों के जेब को गर्म करेंगे। और जब किसान का जेब गर्म होगा तो ये जितना भी जो कल कारखाने हैं जो सामान तैयार होते हैं और इलेक्ट्रॉनिक मीडिया पर टीवी पर जिसका विज्ञापन होता है ये ले लो वो ले लो ये तो किसान का बच्चा भी सोचता है कि हम भी खरीदें। ये मोटरसाइकिल एक होता है छोटा भ्रूम करता है, छोटा मेरा वो नाती है भ्रूम, वो छोटा मोटरसाइकिल को बोलता है। तो किसान का हम आमदनी बढ़ाने का हम इंतजाम करेंगे।
The minister is also keen to help in India's water conservation efforts.
ड्रिंकिंग वाटर की जरूरत अभी भी सैकड़ों कोस से महिलाएं पानी के लिए आती है। पानी पानी मीन्स द पानी। थैंक यू। हमने एक्सरसाइज किया कि ये बिना झगड़ा झंझट किए हुए 64,000 किलोमीटर नेटवर्क है इंडियन रेलवे का, चारों तरफ जाल फेरा, और रेल लाइन के किनारे आप देखेंगे 60-70 मीटर राइट एंड लेफ्ट पैरेलल रेलवे लाइन है, और सारे देश में वो पहुंचता है। और जहाँ नदियाँ तो पानी वेस्ट हो जाता है, वहाँ उनके साइफन बना करके उनका संच दे तो बड़ा बड़ा ह्यूम पाइप। और आप लोगों को भी इंसियाड को इस पर थोड़ा रिसर्च करना चाहिए, पेपर ऊपर तैयार करिए। तो दोनों तरफ जो हमारी लाइन है का जो वेस्ट लाइन है उसमें होम पाइप दे करके और हम इस पानी को सारे देश में भेज सकते हैं, और कहीं कहीं लोकल केनाल बना के केनाल में भी उसको फॉल करा सकते हैं, और पीने के लिए भी हम दे सकते हैं पानी के लिए। तो हम दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा भारतीय रेल बिना झंझट के बिना झगड़ा के हम इस काम को सॉल्व कर सकते हैं, और हमने आइडिया दिया है। और इसके लिए इन्वेस्टमेंट के लिए पैसा के लिए money is no problem.
Prasad also has an eye on increasing fuel efficiency.
1/3 फ्यूल हम कंज्यूम करते हैं, डीजल कंज्यूम करते हैं इंडियन रेलवे, लेकिन 1/3 बढ़ने के बावजूद हम कंज्यूम करते हैं, लेकिन हम भाड़ा नहीं बढ़ाया, पैसेंजर को तकलीफ नहीं दिया। तो हमको अल्टरनेटिव रखना है हमको, इसलिए हम पूरे देश भर के मेन रूट को इलेक्ट्रिफिकेशन करने जा रहे हैं, इलेक्ट्रीफाई। हम उसको करेंगे, न्यूक्लियर डील हो जाता है, उससे भी हमको हो ही जाएगा न्यूक्लियर डील।
Earlier, advisor Sudhir Kumar spoke about the change in mindset that had been required for the turnaround by Indian Railways.
Railways across the globe, they made this fundamental mistake. They thought that we are in the business of railways. And as soon as you define yourself as somebody in the business of railways, you define yourself as a monopoly. And monopolies are not known to be efficient, productive, and create value in the marketplace. Now, railways were conceding market share, Indian Railways were conceding market share at the rate of 5% per annum, which came tumbling down from 90% in as early as 1991, down to less than 25% in host of commodities, and still, World Bank, McKinsey, everybody was saying, set up a tariff regulator. As if market is not the biggest regulator. Now, if I am a monopoly, why I am conceding market share? Low-cost airlines, shipping lines, pipelines, transmission lines, road lines, they were knocking the bottom out of railways, and railways were enjoying and sleeping with their monopoly status. So that is our understanding of the business. We said that we are not in the business of railways, we are in the business of transportation. We are one of the several modes of transportation, and the only way to survive and thrive in a marketplace is to offer superior and compelling value to your customers.
In an exclusive interview with INSEAD Knowledge, Minister Lalu Prasad said freight trains are Indian Railways' earning horse, adding he has extensive plans for expanding freight lines, increasing their efficiency and capturing the 60% of goods that are currently transported by road.
I want to capture that goods and shift in the goods train. So I have given several concessions, and I have constituted a committee of the traders, business classes. What is your hardship? You tell me, we will remove, and we have removed it. And then given concession to local industries, several concessions, and their goods are reaching properly. So I am going to construct a third line, dedicated freight corridor. I have invited some private players also in a joint venture. If they will not come, then there is a huge money, surplus money to me. And another is a western corridor, another, from Delhi to Mumbai. Third line, double line dedicated. And all investment, industries would be the hub of this external hubs, industrial hubs. So now the Indian Railway, before my tenure, was out of market. Now the Indian Railway is inside market. Everybody from abroad, local, they are watching by microscope the Indian Railway, reality of the Indian Railway. So they know very well that if I will invest money, my money will not go in vain. So there is a credibility of the Indian Railway now. So people want to invest.
But you're not going to be privatizing the railway system?
Fully no. In core sector, no private. The world-class station, containers, other terminals, wagon leasing policy, some non-core sector, I will permit, I will allow, but not the core sector. Core sector means the entire railway, rail, stations, runnings of the train, control over the train.
You spoke earlier about congestion and about problems that goods trains have, that they have to go onto a loop to allow passenger trains through. Is this having an impact on India's economic growth? Some analysts say it's costing India 2 to 3 percentage points.
There is a difficulty. So if we will kill more and more time to the goods of any trader, how they will come to my rail? They will go by road, and there is a problem. So third line is a cure of all disease. And more the trains people want, but I am not inserting any train because there is a very congestion. So I will remove this pressure to a third line, on third line, double line, dedicated, and I will insert other passengers train, Rajdhani trains, Garib Rath train. Because the Indian Railway is a very cheaper with the comparison of the abroad also, Indian steel, and 60% goods are going by road. So every trader, every business class wants to prefer rail.
He may not quite be Professor Lalu yet, but the Minister's presentation to INSEAD MBA participants, alumni and executives will certainly be talked about for months to come. And if his strategy does pay off, perhaps he will be able to help bring India's rail system into the 21st century. For INSEAD Knowledge, I'm Stuart Pallister.